Yes, everyone, what's going on? My name is Stephen Howson, and this is Tactical Preview of Manchester United against Partizan in the world's greatest, most prestigious, most elusive competition, the International Europa League Championship of the world. Hope everyone's having a good day. Get any of your questions and comments and all of that good shit in, and I will answer some of those if I like your face. I'm really not looking forward to this game. I'm going to be honest with you. It's pissing freezing in Manchester at the moment. And the idea of having to go to Old Trafford and watch this team at the moment doesn't fill me with the excitement that it did when I was a boy. But I am going, and I'll go and I'll cheer the lads on like I do every fucking week because I was indoctrinated as a child and I've got no choice. Solskjaer has been talking. He's mentioned that we've got a couple of injuries that are probably going to be affecting what we pick in terms of the team today or tomorrow's team. It's not ideal, is it? Especially in the situation where somebody like Lindelof might not feature and you're like, Lindelof not featuring, you go, okay, I did initially pick a three at the back. I thought we'd probably revert to a three at the back. But I want to see this three at the back tried more because I was feeling the two striker system, and I wanted to see us develop the two striker system, and I wanted to see us develop systems inside that get my teeth right, two striker system, and I wanted to be able to bring in the likes of Jimmy Garner with the back three behind them, and I wanted to see United try and play out from that, and I also wanted to rest. Not drop, but rest Dan James and see what he can do as an impact sub, much like we saw against Partizan in the first time round. That's what I wanted to see. The fact that we've now got no Lindelof, I don't think Solskjaer's got any choice whatsoever but having to play a back four. And I think that's a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. Solskjaer in his press conference thinks the team is improving. It's a ballsy thing to say on the back of a defeat to Bournemouth where we bored the piss out of everything. He says we're getting experienced players back and the squad is stronger already. Again, I don't really agree with that. Something else he said there's no shortcuts in football. It's hard work, sticking together and team spirit. We have to keep working. We know we're on the right track. Saturday was disappointing, but we've got the chance to get two great wins before the break. We do have a chance to get 2 wins before the break. Let's have a look at the starting 11 then. So here's the starting 11 that I would like to go for tomorrow night against Partizan. As I said, I was going to go with a back four. Unfortunately, I've got to pick Ashley Young, Romero in net, Maguire and Rojo, who I think has been great at centre-half as a deputy coming in. I'm not sure I would like him as first choice, but I do quite like him there as a deputy. I would see Brandon Williams in at left-back, and I think he's got the opportunity to make this spot his own. Very interesting to see if he plays a full 90 on Thursday and then a full 90 at the weekend against Brighton. If he does, that's a massive big plus for him and obviously showing that the manager really rates him. McTominay and Garner as midfield 2, and crucially, as I mentioned in the title, it's time for change. The change we need to see, Juan Mata, flanked either side by Greenwood on the right, Rashford on the left, and Tony Marshall up front. The reason for Juan Mata, and Juan Mata is also my key player as well, Juan Mata is someone that has got a final ball, certainly a final ball into the box. I was disappointed to the point of being annoyed with Andreas Pereira and his performance at the weekend against Bournemouth. So many times he has the opportunity to create something. There's 5 or 6 occasions in most games when he has got the opportunity to put in a final ball and he either fails to deliver on the final ball or he shoots. Now, as you guys know, I don't care if you're an advocate of expected goals, but expected goals is literally the mathematics behind where you take a shot from. The shots that he's having, Andreas Pereira, are 3 and 4% chance goals. That's shocking decision making. If he's not aware of that, that's horrendous. You need to know where you score goals from. You can want to play like City do and have that like little cheeky, sweaty goal almost that's pulled back to the penalty spot. But you know what? It's bloody effective. There's a reason why they do that. There's a reason why why don't we shoot from the halfway line all the time? Well, it's not really likely to go in, is it? Absolutely fucking not. It's spectacular if it goes in. You do that all the time. And that's why when someone does score from the halfway line, you all get excited, and rightly so. But just randomly banging them in from nowhere is not good. It's not good football. It's not intelligent football. And it's not realising or learning from your mistakes. And for me, that has been the most annoying thing about Pereira. I don't mind players making mistakes when they try something. I mind when people make repeated same mistakes. There's no excuse for it. So what we want to see from Juan Mata, we need to see Juan Mata putting a ball into the box. We need to see Juan Mata knitting the play together, holding the ball in an area that can create chances for us, bringing in those runners around him. Juan Mata is not fast. Juan Mata doesn't need to be fast. We're not going to play on the counter against Partizan at home. We saw that in the away game. We are not going to sit back and try and hit them on the break. We are going to have 62, 63, 64% possession, and we're going to be camped on the edge of their box, trying to figure out how to break down a team that doesn't want to be broken down. Jesse Lingard is not the man for that job. Andreas Pereira is not the man for that job. In our squad, Juan Mata is the man for that job. You play the ball into him, you get movement around him, and he will find the right pass. That is what an experienced player in that position can do. I also wanted to give, let's go back to the 11 a sec. I also wanted to give the likes of Maguire a rest. I probably would have played Lindelof alongside Rojo. I think it'd have been good for Maguire to have a break. He's played a lot of football since he came to United. He's also been featured for England as well. Just a little bit of a break would have been nice for him, I think. And I wouldn't have minded resting Scott McTominay if I thought there was someone there that we could do that with. Fred's looked okay, but I want someone that's going to make a better decision. And playing a midfield two of Garner and McTominay, you're going to see them be fairly basic, but they'll make the right decisions. And the right decision is going to be to turn and play it into Juan Mata, who's going to take up pretty good positions. He'll double up with Greenwood on the right, and he'll double up with Marcus on the left. But what he'll do when he doubles up with them players is he'll allow them to then advance ahead of him, and he will then select a pass round the corner. He's got the ability to do this. Round the corner, to feet, and I think he knits Manchester United's play better than Lingard or than Andreas Pereira. If Andreas Pereira lines up in the 10, we're in for a long night. The nightmare scenario is Andreas Pereira uncorks one from 25 yard out, which absolutely nestles in the joint, because then he's almost justified in trying it every single time he gets the pissing ball, isn't he? I think he thinks he's Paul Scholes in his head, but he is not. Let us know in the comments. Give us your score predictions and your questions and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to come to the Patreon group in a second and see what you guys are saying. Maguire doesn't need a rest. He's a centre-half. Of course he does. Of course he can do with a rest. I think more than anything, these are fit players. I think more than anything, there's a pressure at playing for United that it'd be nice to just relax from. That's the rest. It's a mental break more than a physical break. How many chances has Mata created all season? Here's the problem, Andre. You're looking at Juan Mata, who I think's personally not been utilised in the correct places. We've played Juan Mata when we want to counter-attack. That's the issue. You're asking Juan Mata to be the counter-attacking conductor. We've utilised him wrong this season. We've played him when we was going to be up against a team that we expect that we're going to have less possession than. And when the time has come for us to find a lot that needs unpicking, we didn't select him. So I don't really care what he's created this season. I know what this guy's capable of, and he's been utilised wrong this season. Raphael Silverstone says he isn't the player he was 3 or 4 years ago. It's been a long night for ages. Yeah, but he's still better than what we've got. Why isn't Angel training? Supposedly he's just had an operation. I don't know how true that is, though. Dimitri says, except Mata isn't looking to create. He plays one pass and then runs past the centre forward and takes space away from Marshall and leaves a giant hole in midfield. That's a weird way to look at that. When a midfielder breaks into the box, he's not taking space away from a striker. He's taking a defender away from a striker. He's actually creating space. What the partner up front needs to do is to see his run and move into the right areas. Let the good times roll, says Mata offers nothing. I genuinely can't agree with that, brother. Will Fosu meant to be part of the team later in the season? I do hope so. He's back training, but I think it's going to be a long recovery for him. I don't think you'll see him this side of Christmas. I think he's still eligible to play in the under-23s, so I would expect that you probably see him in the under-23s first. But I'm going to pop over to Patreon and see what everyone's saying here. Any chance Angel gets a start? No. Do I start Brandon or keep him fresh for the weekend? Both. He can handle both. Does Laird start? No, unfortunately. I don't think so. I think that there's a good chance that you might see Laird on the bench, though, this week. Should Garner get a game because Fred and McGoat need a rest? I think he should get a game because he deserves a game. But yes. Dan James's smile. Has Mason been getting as many chances as you thought / hoped he would? No, he's not, actually. I did think he'd probably be involved a little bit more. I certainly, as you've seen, would start him on Thursday night. I think he's definitely earned that. Maybe they're working on specific things that they want him to do that maybe he wasn't doing. And then we'll see how that goes down. Do I think Levitt is close to getting a start? Yes. I was chatting to Dylan the other day and I was saying, like, what do you think is going to come first? Is it going to be your Wales debut or United debut? And he was like, both are close and both probably well earned. Both teams, obviously you've got the likes of Ramsey with Wales. Both teams really need a player that can play a ball into the box behind the defence. Dylan is the man for that. I think he's probably physically still a way off first team. But in terms of touch, intelligence, vision, and ability on the ball, Dylan's got it. He's absolutely got it. If he had the physicality of maybe a Traore, someone like that, he'd already be playing in the first team. His ability on the ball is unquestionable. It's almost Angel Gomes levels of touch and passing range and vision, which is why when them two combine together on the 23 level, it's absolutely devastating. Do I think Angel is the answer to our problems right now? He might be. I'm not sure you're going to get to see the answer played until he sorts his shit out. Isaac Lance, being in a relatively good position in the group, should we start introducing more academy players into the Europa starting 11, including the likes of Levitt and Laird? They will probably start on the bench initially, but I think Levitt's still just a touch away. He will be going away with Wales next weekend. Azerbaijan and Hungary, I think they're playing. It's definitely Azerbaijan for one of them. I think Hungary's the other one. Laird, I think, probably will be on the bench this week. And as Ronan says, do I think Levitt should be given a look in as a creative outlet from deeper? I do. We'll see. Do I know if there's something more going on with Axel's injury? I still don't even know what his injury is. It says pulled his neck or something like that. Ian, how do we fix the lack of creativity going forward? Do we need a different type of formation, or will we just struggle regardless because the players aren't good enough? I think a midfield three would serve us better once Paul Pogba gets back, but until Paul Pogba gets back, we're just not going to be very good, are we? Do I expect him to stick to the 4-2-3-1 or move to 3 at the back? I sort of answered that before. We can't create from midfield without Pogba. We can't cross. We don't have forward players to cross into. We can't score from set pieces. How do we score goals? Now, I mean, that is the $1 million question, isn't it? It's a nightmare. It's very individualistic goals, a bit of magic, or a bit of luck. You have to get a system of goals like City have got. So they know I'm going to put this ball into that area and someone's probably going to get there. Do we have a Herrera situation going on with Gomez? You lot already know. Dean, should we play 4-3-3 in this game, as I don't see Belgrade coming to attack us, and we should play with Greenwood, Rashford and Marshall from the start and give James a rest? You know what am I thinking there, mate? Could I walk us through what United should line up as Belgrade as opposed to what I think Ollie will pick? I kind of did. Is there anything I saw Belgrade doing the last game that worries you? Yes, their play on the counter was well good, and it caused us a lot of problems. I can't remember the guy's name, but there was a couple of players in particular that I thought 1v1, they've got the pace on us, and pace always is a problem. I think they had more chances than us in the last game as well, so they're not a pushover. I don't think they're going to come and try and play football against us. I definitely think they'll be looking at a part of the bus and hit us on the counter, but they are a They are a threat without a shadow of a doubt. Bozzy saying, hopefully Young will get dropped. Unfortunately, there's fuck all chance of that happening, I don't think. If Garner plays, do I think he'll be playing as a deep line midfielder as he did in Belgrade, or further up the pitch where he can provide some goal threat from midfield? I think further back for now, but I think at home he'll end up being pushed further forward just because of the way they're going to sit. What formation suits us most to play in the front foot? I think the three at the back, but I don't think he's going to play that. Shouldn't we rest McTominay? He's played all of our games. Again, like I said, I wish I could have rested him. We're not resting him. Those are the questions from the Patreon group. They get priority on questions and a ton of other stuff as well. There's all sorts going on in the Patreon group. And as we get towards the transfer window of January, you're going to want to be in there first. As I've said multiple times on here so far, they knew in May about Maguire and in March about Wan-Bissaka. And if you want to go back and check, that was well before anybody else was reporting any of this shit. So the link is in the description if you fancy that. My channels are supported by Patreon, and I'm very proud to say that I'm supported by my community. We are 685 or something like that at the moment. When it gets to 750, and that's gone up like 180 or so in like 3 weeks. When we get to 750, we're having a United legend in Hotel Football to do a live podcast, and that live podcast will only be seen by the people on Patreon. I will not be putting it on YouTube for you. They will be a live podcast, meaning the Patreons that are local to Manchester can come and watch free of charge and meet them and hang out with the legend that we've got, and we'll do a podcast with questions and stuff like that. And we're also planning one in Dublin for about February or March, probably February, if we hit the goal that we're going for, which is 1,000 Patreons. And after that, we'll be taking it worldwide. And LA looks very likely to be destination number 3 for us. And a few of the patrons have asked for Scotland as well. So if we was going like that, where we're going to go, Glasgow or Los Angeles? Probably do Glasgow back end of the summer if we're going to do it. Or Edinburgh, depending on where the biggest population of patrons is. But if you're in LA, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Dublin, Manchester, and you want some extra content, the content that comes out on YouTube is free for everybody, but it's supported and paid for by the guys that are on Patreon. The cost of it is £1 pint a month. So if you like the content, think of it as buying us a pint to say thank you. That is it. All right, a couple of people are asking about transfers. Probably going to do some sort of transfer video next week. I am away for 6 days next week. Luckily, it's international break, but we'll be working it out. Our producer Cam has just banged in the Patreon link there in the channel description. Open it up on a new tab. Murray has given us a super chat which says, Mason should be tearing up the championship right now. Not a bad shout, to be honest, but it's really hard when you get a loan to know whether they're going to be in a squad that's going to compete. Is it going to be played every week? Because I know a couple of young players that had 70 minutes a week clauses, and then they sat their manager, and the new manager went, I don't give a fuck about that. I'm not playing. And that's that. So it's very difficult. Here we go. Someone's talking utter fucking witch. Andu Fati was superb yesterday for Barcelona. 17 years old. That shows our youngsters absolutely suck. Fucking does it. Listen, VJ, here's the crack, mate. As we saw with Delph at Manchester City at left back, if you are in a good team, and this Barcelona team would not be considered vintage by their standards, but it's still top of the fucking league, and it's still doing absolute bits. Oh, and it's still got the likes of Griezmann and Suarez and Messi and some unbelievable footballers that we can only dream of having. It's a lot easier for Fati to come in when he's playing at that level with those players around him than it is for players to come into a poor team that's lacking confidence 100 times out of 100. Oh, it's so much easier to come into a successful team. We can't afford to let players go out on loan at the moment. That's a good point. It's a very good point. We can't afford to let players go out on loan at the moment because they are definitely needed in the first team. Right. Make sure to like the video. I'm going to do a couple more questions, and then I'm going to absolutely wrap this shit up. There's a couple more on Patreon. Let's have a look. I think there has been a few more, but I can't remember where we ended at the last one. Trier says, why on earth is Greenwood, Chong and Gomes not playing more? Surely they will be in the squad for this game. Chong did excellent the other night, but I'm not 100% certain on him for first team. Gomes, obviously we know. Greenwood has to play. He really does. Bozzy, I'd like to think that Brandon gets rested. We already saw that one, didn't we? Oh, maybe we didn't. I thought I answered all these, but now I'm not sure what's going on. I am confused. Are they all from yesterday? What's happened? Something's going on. Yeah, all right. I don't actually get what's going on in the Patreon group. It's all gone west. Why is no one talking about Laurent Blanc? I don't know why no one's talking about Laurent Blanc. And Herrera, that was a mistake. Yeah, it wasn't really a transfer. The guy was at the end of his contract. We offered him a contract. We offered him probably a fair contract. But Paris Saint-Germain offered him a absolute eye-watering amount, like triple what he was getting at United, and for 5 years as well. And he's like, can I sign it in blood? Easy. Any opinions on the lack of left-footed right-wingers available in the transfer market? Mahrez seems like a missed opportunity. It depends on what you're looking for. Are we looking for a left-footed right-winger? Just because that's what everyone else is doing, does that mean that we should do it as well? When everyone had gone... Look, everybody played 4-4-2. And then Sir Alex Ferguson probably started a bit of a trend by playing Cantona in the hole, in between the lines. Everyone's like, what is going on here? Why is he not playing Why is he not a 4-4-2 player like everybody else? And then you saw the likes of Middlesbrough at the time bringing in Juninho and Chelsea bringing in Zola. Little playmakers that would play in between the lines. And then that made people move to a 5-man midfield to deal with it. They would have to play a defensive midfielder. The likes of Rafa Benitez and Jose Mourinho came in and they brought with them new formations, 4-3-3, 4-5-1, that sort of stuff. Carlos Queiroz did similar things at Manchester United. To deal with the different lines. It's gone from a very rigid 4-4-2 grid that we used to see with occasionally overlapping fullbacks to now there's like 6 or 7 lines of a player being on them. Very asymmetric midfields, attackers that can go west, wingers that are also midfielders, very different formations. And then when people start to become bored of the same formation, that's when a 3 at the back looks refreshing because it's different. That's when you like Chris Wilder with overlapping centre halves. You go, what the fuck is this madness that's going on here? And you have things like Leicester pulling out a 4-4-2 when 4-4-2 was a 20-year-old forgotten formation. Well, utilised the right way. And they literally was full Brexit football, 1991 vintage Southampton level Wimbledon football. Bang it long for Vardy to chase, fucking 1-0 Leicester. When someone does something different, it can shock people. So if everybody's buying right-footed left wingers or left-footed right wingers, why not buy right-footed ones? I'm sure it was like Steed Malbronk was one of the first inverted wingers I saw, and I didn't like that at the time. Then Ronaldo came on the scene. You're like, oh, it's pretty good actually, this. But maybe that was just because it suited Ronaldo. And if you haven't got Ronaldo, maybe you should play a different way. And maybe it's time to get back to the byline. Maybe it's time, I don't know. Everyone gets to play a different way, don't they? You want to piss with a cock you got. So, there you go. Thank you guys for watching. Let's see if we can get this video up to 1,000 likes. How about that? Offline, because we're not doing it in the next 30 seconds or so. Make sure to check out my link in the description for Patreon and come see all the additional content and treats and all that kind of shit that you'll get, as well as some merch which we're about to drop, which looks fucking sexy. If you're in our Facebook group, you'll have seen that. And that should be available very soon. And thank you guys for watching. Make sure to tune in to Stretford Paddock during the game tomorrow. I won't be on it, but Joe and the boys will be doing it. And I will see you in the next one. Laters.